Do you want to learn Go? I know you do. It's got a cute little logo. Look at it. How can you not want to learn it? You should start with this project that I'm going to show you. We're going to go over a very, very brief introduction to Go and also a hopefully useful program. Why would you want to use Go for this? We're going to be generating config for network devices, which will have to be applied by engineers. Those engineers will use many different operating systems. They might even use Windows. Oh dear. But if they are, it's fine because Go, by its nature, is very portable. That's why we like it. It compiles down to a single static binary, okay? No matter what we include in our program, it all goes into this one thing that can be lifted and shifted and moved anywhere we want. Magic. And it is magic. And I'm going to show you that today. So we're just going to configure a VLAN, right? Very easy. On a Cisco device, this is how you configure a VLAN. So this is our template here. I'll just run through it, but obviously you can use anything here, right? This isn't limited to Cisco templating. This is just a really simple example that I'm going to show you, okay? You can apply it to your Bash RCs or your Ansible playbooks or what have you, anything, right? First of all, this is just to give some context. So on a Cisco switch, you enter configuration mode, then what VLAN? We want to configure VLAN 10. What name? We want to call it Linux LAN. Interface Gigabit Ethernet 201. This is what interface we want to configure. Switch mode access, standard thing. Switchport access VLAN, whatever we put up here. Exit, so exit the configuration mode, and then copy running config to startup config. That's how you save on a Cisco device. So let's start writing our Go program. So I'm going to call my program main.go, and with Go you have to start everything with the package name. So it's main, package main. And now in Go there's a data structure called a struct, which we're going to load all our data in. So what do we need in that? Let's have a look. So we want, let me just type, it's going to be called config, and it's going to be a struct. There we are. We want a VLAN ID. So obviously we know it's going to be a VLAN, so I'm just going to call it ID. That's going to be a string, even though that could be an int, but we're not going to do any calculations on it. So it's just easier to be a string for now. Then we need a name, so name, which is also a string. And then we need a interface. So I'll call that int. And string. Again, this could be an int or even a float, but for now, we'll keep everything as strings to be easier. Okay. The reason these are capitals is just because they have to be, apparently, from what I've learned. I'm new to Go, so this is me learning with you. So now that we've made our struct, I'm going to go ahead and copy that example to the actual, to a template. And then edit the template like this. There we are. So now we need to figure out what we want to replace in this template. So I want to replace 10 with whatever we put the ID in. So to reference a value inside a struct, which we will be passing into this generator, we put .id like this. There we are. Very nice there. Name. You can see where this is going. .name. Well done. And then here, .int. Yep. So this is quite similar to Jinja or the Django templating language that you might have used in Python. Pretty standard. Anything inside of these will get replaced. You can do things like for statements, if statements. So if, you know, our interface is greater than 5, this changes to switchport mode giga. I don't know. But we're not going to do that now. Very simple. And this is the same as this ID here. There we are. That's all we're going to change. So save and quit that. So I've decided to get my values from the command line because it's easy to do, so pass them in as almost arguments to the program. And then for that, we need a package, which is called OS. So in Go, to import packages, you put them inside a little import statement like this. So we want OS, like this. There we are. Now we have OS. And if we don't use this, it will fail. So you have to be careful here. You have to only import things that you use. Same with variables. You can't use an undefined variable. So now we're actually going to write code, and all our code has to live in main. So func main, like this. Our code doesn't have to live in main, by the way, but all our code will for the purposes of this example. Very simple program. So I'm going to make a variable containing an instance of this struct with these passed in from the command line. So in Go, I'm going to call that gen for generated, or what we will generate. This is called the walrus operator, very cute, like the Gopher logo. This says initialize and assign a variable. So we can go gen equals 1, which is basically shorthand for going gen int gen equals 1. So this assigns and almost casts a variable. Gen is an int and then gen equals 1. This just does that in one line. So we're going to say gen is an instance of this struct config with the following values. So for ID, it's os.args, the first thing we pass into it, 1. os.args0, by the way, is the program path. We don't want that. So we want os_args1, and then the name. So the position number 2 will be os.args2. Okay, and then the int is going to be os.args argument 3. Right, there we are. And now we can check that's working by dumping that struct. And to do that, we need to use the print function, which is inside the format package, which I will import. There we are. This is basically how you dump the value of a struct here. I don't really understand how it works, to be perfectly honest with you. But it's basically the value of gen gets passed into here. Let me just show you that working. So we can run this with go run main, and that will fail now because it wants the values at, it wants those 3 arguments we want. So we can go A, B, C. ID is A, name is B, and int is C. There we go, good. So with our template, ID will be A, name will be B, int will be C, and then ID will be A again. Okay? But obviously that's not good enough at the moment. That's not doing anything, is it? So first of all, we have to load that template now from the local file system. And to do that, we need the text/template package. So from text, we are importing the template package. So there's more than just template in text, but we only want template from it. So to do that, we need to do this. Template, error. This is in case of errors. This is a Go thing. I don't really like it, but you have to do it. So this is a Go thing here, basically saying if there is an error, it will go straight into error. We don't have to do this, but you have to do that, and it's a bit grim. But we will just use template parse files to read a file from the file system, and we will call that, what have we called it? VLAN template.text, there we are. And now we need to basically, in Go, you do error checking at every step, as you probably should in every language, but in Go, this looks like this. If error does not equal nil, so if there's nothing in error, we want to panic with the error. There we are. And now, so that's just loaded the template from our file system, but we actually want to do stuff with it. So that now we need to use the template. So we've got this TMPL template variable assigned here. So we just want to do, again, error equals, in case it does something. In case it errors, error equals TMPL dot execute. Where do we want to send the template? Just send it to OS standard out, right? And then what do we want to put in it? Gen, which is our struct that we've made here. Okay. And then we put the same thing in again. There we are. So let's try and see if this will work. Go run main. Didn't work. Important and not used format. That's because I'm no longer using format. So I'll just comment that out because we will use it later. Go run. It failed because we didn't pass in our values. A, B, C, D. Did it work? It did, even though we passed an extra one in, but it didn't use that. Conf T, VLAN A, name B. Let's just see if we can replicate the example, right? Go run main. 10 Linux. Do I have to 10 Linux LAN 201. Conf T, VLAN 10 Linux LAN 201 10. Good. Okay, that works. Now if I easily want to change this, we can go like that. There we go, VLAN 123, 123. Cool, okay. So it's working, and now we've made a very simple config generator, okay? Nothing special, but it does work. But it's a bit annoying, right? If I'm an engineer and I just want to run this and go, what? That's a horrible error. It is a horrible error. So let's quickly make that a little bit nicer. So go back to main. So we want to do an if statement. So we want to check if the length of os_args is equal to 3. So if we put the correct amount of arguments in, no, that would be wrong because inside this there's actually a 0th element, which is the path of the program. So we actually need to check if it equals to 4. So it's if the len, bit like in Python, just built-in len function, os.args does not equal 4, like this. There we go. So that's an if statement in Go. So if this, which evaluates to hopefully 4, does not equal 4, it needs to be 4. So now we'll go into this little statement here. Now we can use format.print again, but print new line. And I want to print out, you need more arguments. You need 4. And we can do a little moe here. Because in Go, it supports all languages by default. UTF-8 compatible.
You need the following arguments. Cool, the pro. program, like so. /, we'll call it conf.go, which is what we'll call it. .gen_vlan.go, which is what we called it in the final one. Main, VLAN ID, VLAN _main, VLAN _interface.
There we go. Now it will tell us off. Go run main. Ah, okay, but it still printed this horrible error. So it told us what to do, but then it still printed this error. Why is that? It's because we didn't exit cleanly here. So to do that, we go OS. We could panic like that, but that's not nice because technically it's not an error. So we're just going to exit with the exit code of 0, which means it exited successfully, even though it didn't do what it was meant to do. But I don't really know what error code I put in. I could put like 10. Let's just put 10 in. Go run main. It does say exit status there, which I don't like, but if you put 0 in there, it won't say that. Technically 0 means everything went correct, which technically it did. This is expected behavior, right? So call the program like this. Why have I put gen VLAN here? Well, that's because we need to build this. So whenever we've been going go run, it's been temporarily compiling it for us. But we don't want that in the final one. So we can go build main.go. Now we've got this thing here called main. I can just move that to gen VLAN. Now it makes sense. So I can go gen VLAN 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't need 4. Yeah, so it failed because we put more than 4 in. Wait, you need 4. Ah, I should change that to you need 3. So you need 3 because it needs 4 arguments, but to the user it only needs 3. Oh, no. I don't want to correct that. I want to correct the actual print statement. Okay, there we go. Good. Wait. Good. Okay, it did work. Right, good. So now I have to build it again, but I don't want to have to build it and also rename it in one command. Ugh, that's too inefficient. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go build and provide the -o argument of what we want to call it, and then main.go, right? And now it is gen VLAN. There we go. It works. It's changed. Now the good thing about this, we can just take this program and move it wherever we want. So I'm going to go put it on a server. So I'm on my web server here, and I have just moved these files over using SFTP, which I really shouldn't have done. This, by the way, could also just be this template could be a variable in here, but obviously these should still be in a Git repo, and you should just clone it to people's laptops, right? But I haven't done that. I've been lazy. But to prove you, look, there's no Go on this server, right? We haven't installed anything on this server, and this will still work. This is why Go is great. Gen VLAN. Wow, you need more arguments. So I go, what's our VLAN ID? It is 12. What is our VLAN name? It's wow, so cool. What is our VLAN interface? 101 again. It just works. Look at that. This is why Go is great. This is why you should be using it. This is why I'm going to learn more about this. I just pick this up and put it in without installing any new packages. It's just a binary on this server. Admittedly, it's quite a big binary. It's 3.1 bloody meg, which is kind of crazy, but is it really? When you think about it, if this was Python, you'd have to install a templating package on the server, right? This has included that when you've compiled the binary. This program will also be so much quicker. Go is brilliant because it's such a quick language. So it compiles down to native code that runs really stupendously fast. And it will run anywhere as well. 3.1 meg sounds big for what we've done, but it really isn't when you actually think about what is in that. That is everything in there. Everything we'll ever need to run that program is in that 3.1 meg. This is why I really like Go, and I'm going to start to use it more. It's just fantastic. It's so quick. It's beautiful. It's magical. It's a good language, and I hope that gave you a small introduction to it and maybe a little useful program. I'll upload it onto my GitHub. Yeah, obviously, that might not be useful to anyone, that program, but it shows you the power of Go and how it's really rather simple to write as well. I'm going to be using it much more. You should be too. Comment below how you are going to use Go. Mark out.